Okay, welcome back. I'm Sasha, the Catalyst, your host. And today I have with me a very special guest. Her name is Juliette Stapleton, and she is an online visibility strategist. And she just released a new book. I'm so excited to have you on the show and to talk about all things human design strategist. And so I have learned a ton from you about as a projector, what it means to be visible. Your book was so insightful. I read specifically turned to the page about projectors and visibility when it came out the other day, because I was like, I know that she has that special niche about projectors. And so I was really blown away by that chapter, by the way. And so thank you so much for your contributions to the online world. I appreciate it so much. And thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What an introduction. And I love it. You know, projectors are such a diverse type. We are so different even to each other, but we are able to guide each other, I think, more than other types can guide us. We can take other things from other types. And I think it's not just in marketing or visibility, just generally in life. We can pick and choose. But when it comes to guidance and really seeing, it's the projectors that see each other the most, I think.
I agree. And I was actually explaining to another projector just the other day that sometimes I get sad. I don't know, it used to be bitterness, but it's becoming more understanding and just sad because I don't always feel as seen by other types as I do by other projectors, if that makes sense. And so I always go into these relationships where I'm really focused on that person. And then I remember that they're not really able to see me back the same way. And I don't feel that way with projectors. So it's really nice. We kind of need each other.
It's, you know, what's interesting, you mentioned you're a 6-2. So for the 6, the perfection in relationships in the other is a big theme. And so, of course, you know, this is going to be what you just said. It just resonates with that so much, because if you don't find that you are, as a projector, you need to feel like you're seen and recognized. So that multiplies with that need to have perfect relationships and the disappointment of the line 6 that can happen, you know, with this. And it's so interesting. I actually find that both of our profiles are very introspective, like 6-2s here to be perfect within themselves. So not to be perfect as in some sort of generalized perfection, which doesn't exist, but be perfect in their own expression. And so it's a very about me sort of type of energy. Same with me, you know, for me, it's all about like my own perspectives and researches. And in a way, I call it selfish marketing, selfish showing up. It doesn't matter if they see you or not. The right ones will always see you. And over years, I really trained myself to just feel that way. But I hear you about feeling sadness.
Yeah. No, that's great. So the podcast that I host is actually called Human Design for Parents and Kids. So I want to start off by saying, if as a 1-3 splenic projector, if you could go back in time and you know, human design wasn't known yet when we were children. Not to date you, you're very young.
I'm 46, so I've been around.
I didn't know we were the same age. I'm going to be 47 in a few days. So it's, exactly. So, but when we were kids, there was hardly any pop psychology even about how to raise kids. It was pretty much Dr. Spock, and that was it. You know, so what could you, if you could go back, and not that your parents did anything wrong, because it was all for a good reason, but if you could go back and give them the gift of human design, what would you have asked them as a child to do differently with you?
Ooh, the biggest thing I would ask my parents is to give me space. I grew up with a generator and a manifesting generator, emotional manifesting generator, my dad, with a lot of rage, a lot of interfering into my personal space, and not understanding my need to be alone. As a projector, as a 1-3, I remember the biggest scandal we had at home was because I was closing the door into my room and wanting to be alone for a few minutes, and it just didn't sink in. So if I had to go and guide them on how to parent a projector, a 1-3, is to understand that I need my own space to just and actually to be alone, to flush this energy, this generator's energy that I was bouncing off walls as a child, living with my sister is also a generator, so living with these 3 sacrals, you know, in a small 1-bedroom apartment. So it was tough, you know, but that was the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, definitely. My youngest is a projector, and he is so conditioned by his older brothers that, like, if I try to suggest that he spends want some time by himself. He's like, what? I would never do that. So it's helped me to just like, let's go read a book together, and just we go to a different room, and then both of our sacrals can discharge a little bit and get some quiet time together. But he's also only 5, so he just thinks that his older brothers are everything. But you're right, it's hard to I remember I ended up running away from home in high school because I just had to get away from all that heavy energy in my house. I just whatever, and I was gone from home, or I even when I still lived at home, I would be in a lot of activities away from the home just to get away from the sacral conditioning, and I didn't know that that's what I was trying to do. So that's really cool. Okay, so I know a lot of the listeners in my audience are also entrepreneurs. They're mompreneurs or solopreneurs, and just with various businesses. Not all of them are in human design. And so I would just love to give you a chance to talk about your expertise, if you don't mind. I would love to hear some of your wisdom that you have for especially for people beginning in their business. I think that the economy is rough in the world, and people just need to be successful right now, probably more than ever. So what would you like to talk about?
Yes, I want to first very quickly redefine when we're talking about success, what it is. Mm-hmm. Is it material success? Is it, recognition? What is success for you? It's very important to ask yourself that question. And then based on the answer, you will already get clearer of what are you doing here with your business? Because some people start their businesses for financial gain. Some people start their businesses for self-expression. Some people start their businesses to feel seen and recognized and not feel sad that you're just surrounded with people that don't appreciate you, So there's very, very different motivation. I think when you're starting, it's very difficult to determine what are you motivated by, because of course you want the money, and it's nothing wrong with saying I want financial successes. But when you're starting as well, it's just there's so much noise in the marketing and business coaching, especially industry. Everybody will tell you how to make money in like 90 days. And I can tell you this is all a lot of lies. And we have to be, we have to wake up from this weird dream we're in where we believe these things and start thinking as adults who know life is not so easy and it's not so fast that things happen. And even like we're parents, right? We know how long it takes a kid to walk and talk, and right. Business is just another kid we have, and we have to allow it to find its way to start walking and to bump into things and to fail a little bit, to fall right. down on their heads. And this is what happens. It's so normal. When you treat your business as right. your child, then you understand that, the frustration that comes with that things don't work out is sort of something that is not real. You're not allowing things to unfold sometimes. And of course, it's right. unclear. It's like when you have a baby and this baby is small, how clear can you be what it's going to be like?
Yeah, right. I mean, you can project you can project a lot of expectations on them, but you're right. Part of the fun is getting to know them for who they are and letting that unfold in its own process. But I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. I was just excited about your point.
Yes. And we had this and I started laughing because just before we started recording this, I mentioned that I am a mother of one child. My child is now 23, and she is absolutely fantastic child. She's always been, even as a baby, a textbook child. Now, of course, I'm going to take credit for creating routines and all these kind of things, but truly she had great personality. And also me and her in our human design, our communication is really perfect. We're kind of like in the way we communicate. I don't have anyone in the world. I never had once an argument with my daughter ever. Wow. We are just so aligned. But I also know that as a projector, maybe I've given her so much space, her private space growing up, and I try and, guide her without forcing things on her. But long story short, and I always said I had a golden child, I have a perfect child. Everybody else said that too. But then I always didn't want another child because I didn't want to mess up on the second one. I already had a good one. And that's exactly the same thing with the expectation, things working out. You kind of like, I don't know what the other one's going to be. And with the business and marketing, it's very, very similar when you're just starting. And I actually specialize in working with people who are solopreneurs who have a dream, who have a vision, and who are working from home. I don't necessarily market myself as someone who works with, say, mompreneurs or parentspreneurs. I understand it's a very, very busy life, but it doesn't actually matter as long as you prioritize in a way that your business doesn't become something that you do at the very, very end of, the line of things that you have to do. It's all about priorities. I think that this is a good point here to say, I work with a lot of people who say, I'm in a full-time job. I have no time to run my business. And then they complain that the business is not growing. But it's all about how you think about it. You can still be in a full-time job or be a full-time mom, but it's how you prioritize your business and how you prioritize that dream. So you do all that stuff, you still do it full-heartedly, but then you come to do the business. And the business is where, it's like if you're planting a seed for an amazing, beautiful plant, and you're just like every day you're like around it and you're trying to give it life. That's what you're doing. It's going to take a very long time to see any sort of leaves, right? Imagine like if you're trying to plant a seed and then wait it grow, and then you have to nurture it, because it can, it could be too cold or too hot or whatever, and that's what's happening. But it's about your love, and I know a lot of people. I don't know if you're into gardening. I'm not. I'm just like my mom who is. Yeah, okay. So you are, and it's like this obsession about really nurturing this plant. Well, take that and put that in your business, because your business is like that plant. Something you think is going to take 90 days can take 3, 4, 5 years. And it's fine. It's okay. And it's good to sometimes know, and this is maybe my spleen. I'm a splenic projector, so I have this splenic trust in you are in the right place at any time. You're in the right place where you should be, because maybe something you need to figure out now. Maybe that you need to make a little mistake here, so you know that this doesn't work. So you're there constantly in this world of figuring things out. I think where human design really helps is it gives you red flags, right? So if you're a projector, it tells you, listen, if you start like initiating, if you start tapping people on their shoulders, there's a lot of these kind of assertive marketing tactics. It might not work, but there's also sometimes you can feel that somebody sees you. And in that moment, you can ask. In that moment, you can tap them on the shoulder, and because they already open to you, there's this energetic invitation. Of course, all the important things for projectors specifically, like the massive things, they need to be through a formal invitation. Those are the most aligned things. But then again,
with recognition, not just any
with
invitation,
recognition.
Right?
Of course. No, but even people who recognize, here's the thing, even people who recognize you and they invite you, if you have to check in with your authority if it's the right invitation for you still. It's not about us, like it's not about that you have to just sit there hoping somebody will invite you and then jump in at any opportunity, because you'll just get disappointed because you sometimes don't check in with yourself. And it's a process, right? But while you're doing that, the waiting for all that is a very active process. So for me, and this is why I wrote this book on marketing and human design, because it's all about focusing within and starting to express what you're about. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to, know your tagline or elevator pitch. Those things don't sell anyway, or they don't attract clients anyway. It's about talking. And here's where human design gives you a little bit of a direction. First of all, as an energy type, it might give you a direction when you're ready to share. So projectors, we get drawn by something, like we get studying like some sort of system, and then we can feel, there's this kind of excitement. And then depending as well, I have a lot of collective circuitry. So for me, it's like, I have to share this with the world.
Right, I do too.
Though it's a personal thing, right? But you're kind of like, but sometimes then you don't have anything to share. You have either you're resting in your rest period, you recharge, and it's also being kind to yourself to understand that these are these periods where you don't need to share anything. So when you've shared something good, saved it, repurpose it, right? I love some automation tools that allow us to repurpose things, recurring posts, because this is what gives us breathing space. And then we can rest, and then we can get drawn into, we can go study. Sometimes when I'm tired, I actually start studying something else, or get back to what I dropped, and I re-energize myself. And then as I study, I'm like, I want to talk about this. Straight away, I'll go and create some sort of piece of content that then will go into the bank of things that I repurpose. So I have a lot of space, and it's a really good attitude to have. If you are a manifesting generator, you might be, interested in so many things, not that you are have multiple interests. A lot of other people also know different types, also can be multi-passionate. So
right. I'm multi-passionate.
Yeah, me too. Oh my God, I'm a jack of all trades. Like whatever trade is there, except for cooking and accounting, but except for and gardening. So, but anyway, some trades I'm a jack of all, and some I'm not. But the point is that when you're a manifesting generator, you will be also jumping from one thing to another. And I see in business how manifesting generators really struggle, and they're like, oh, I have to block the 2 hours to create my content, and I don't have this time. And you don't need 2 hours, right? Start, write 2 sentences down, run around and do something else, then come back and write more until while you have this energy, until it stops. When the energy is not available, go away. You have an inbuilt mechanism in your body that says, I have the energy, I don't have the energy. Follow this wave. You're like surfing these waves. I'm not talking about emotional waves now. That's a different conversation.
No, but that's right.
And so, when you sort of are aware of this, then you're okay when you don't have the energy. That's for any type, when we don't have the energy for whatever reason it is, right? It's good to be aware. And that's what human design does, I think. It says, this is how you can handle things. Like you're a manifesting generator. You're a great juggler. You're juggling balls. You can't just focus on one ball for 2 hours. The rest will all fall. So juggle away.
Yes.
And if you're a regular, just a pure generator, that you can focus on the process you will be doing. My mom is a generator, and I remember once she was working in a Korean restaurant. She was an accountant, and she got this little special, like a julienne grater, and she made this, what she called Korean salads. We ate them for almost a year every day. She was so into the process of making this Korean salad. And so this is
such a generator thing to do. That's awesome.
But it's good to have that and own it, oh, I love doing this. And then when you stop doing it, it's fine, don't do it. So it's the same in your business. You don't have to handle too many things at the same time. Just focus on one step until you master it. Then it becomes second nature, or you've done everything you could with it. You can move on. You don't have to have it all and then get overwhelmed, frustrated, and not start at all. That happens too, with generators. And I know, a third of the world, 2/3 of the world is generator type. So this is very relevant to you. And manifestors, thinking that, oh my God, everybody says you're a trailblazer. And they're like, I don't know. I'm just a nice person. I don't know. I don't want to be trailblazing here. But the truth is that they do have this sparkles of the ideas. And for them, it's important that they inform other people how to inform them. That was the biggest kind of thing that I observe in manifestors. It's not about you just telling what you're going to do and it feels like you have to ask for permission. No, it's about you telling me what's your preferred method for me to deal with you. And that's how you're informing. Then you can do things and nobody's going to try and control you because you just feel so, unpredictable, and people, that's the reaction for them. They want to control you. They want to be in your way. It's like weird that you're so, so it's awareness of these things. It's so cool because in business, you can become successful, whatever definition of success is, but there's no one way. I think if the alternative name had to be made for this book or created for this book that I wrote, it would be There Is No The Right Way. That was my working title, because there's so many ways you can do the business whichever way you want, and it's going to be right for you. And that's the most important thing, I think, because when you feel good in your business, then you feel energized. Everything else also gets energized because your business is where you're expressing yourself. So you can be a mom, you can be, family maker, you can be whoever you are, full-time job, whatever it is, but you can also express yourself, and business can be that channel. So it's not just about other people or sales or helping them. It's about who you are through this business. And I think that this is really, really good. Like I call it selfish marketing. It's really, really good. You look within, you then start, lighting your light or getting in the zone or following that ignition within, or just reflecting on the world, so whatever type you are. And it's just so interesting that there is no one way, and you can be rest assured you're figuring out your way. You do not need to feel bad that somebody else is more successful. You don't know the full picture. You don't know the details. And in fact, that claim might not even be true. So always we're adults. We need to remain adults and kind of a bit sober in this, and just follow, just follow the road. Follow that road. It'll bring
I love
you.
that. And I love that you used a gardening metaphor for the business, because I actually use that metaphor for parenting too. And could swear it was just a couple days ago. I don't remember who I was talking to, but I said, I wonder if sometimes we just put too much pressure on our business. I mean, you would never dream of asking your 2-year-old to support you financially, right?
I love it. It's
But we
true.
often ask our businesses when they're only 2 years old to give us full-time support, and then taking, like you said, the responsibility of that. I don't parent as a hobby; I parent as a priority, so we often will treat our businesses like just a really fun hobby and not take it seriously enough. And by serious, I don't mean, like you said, I don't mean things that are draining the energy and making us feel like this is a chore, but just being consistent, whatever consistent means for you. Like you said, I love your working title. That would have been fabulous. So we are out of time. If you want to spend a minute telling us.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Sasha. So, mompreneurs and lovely ladies, I would love to get in touch with you. Go to julietstapleton.com. You will see everything there. There is a very short training on you're just introducing like the energy types and also profile lines, which that's where the brand voice, that's the angle of expression. You can also read most of it in the book. The book you can get on Amazon. It's called On Marketing and Human Design. It's like my contemplations. I'm a 1-3. I'm not teaching anything. I'm just talking about it. And yes, there's a free course on my website as well. If you go into the menu, you will find it. It's all there. And, just take it from there.
Thank you so much for being here, Juliette.